Do you want to do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast.
Come? Alright, I'll do my own bits myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it.
Get off the road.
So Dave,
What's going on, Boater?
4 Norse gods, a Roman god, and 2 astronomical bodies walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Oh, this is gonna be a weak joke."
Nope, that one's too wordy for me. Doesn't do it. Didn't do it.
Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Boater.
I'm Dave Mann.
And if you know the sources of the names of the week, please post them in chat because that was kind of funny. Yes, so hi everybody, how are we doing? Vladdy, thank you for the 7th month subscribing in a row. I didn't even know that Insane Games TV has been going for 7 months, but I think about it, and no, we've been going pretty strong for a while. I like it. So thank you for the sub there, and thank you all for coming in today. We've got a lot to cover here at Nerd Glasses. A lot of news, a lot of things to get to, so I'll shut up, and Dave, let you take it away.
Well, Boater, we have our first ever exclusive game. So we're starting with, because it is the release season, our second episode where we get to start on the top with games that are coming out in the next 7 days. We're not doing, I know there's immense releases looking out there, but let's do Tuesday to Tuesday, why don't we? But because we've scoped it that way, this game would have normally probably fallen under a lot of cracks for folks, but it is the first ever exclusive that Microsoft Windows and Stadia have gotten an exclusive contract to it, so PS4 and Xbox One users are going to have to wait till 2021 to play. And I don't mean to make this game sound unimportant, because for some people it is the game for them, and the fact that it's getting a 4th installment. This game, Serious Sam 4.
Okay.
So
interesting. That's an established franchise. Yeah.
An established franchise, and for those of you who don't know it, it's Duke Nukem, but you don't have to feel bad for playing it in public these days, because it didn't age like, oh, what's a highly deteriorating material? Exactly. It goes bad the second it hits the air. Duke Nukem does, but Serious Sam.
All I could think of was a political joke, and I didn't feel like going there today.
It's Serious Sam, where
it aged like a Trump tweet.
Boom, got him.
Got him.
So it is a first-person shooter where you have the big old guns. It's a Doom clone in its day and when it first started.
Yeah, before first-person shooters were established with that name as whatever. It's a Doom clone. Never mind, Doom was a clone of Wolfenstein.
Exactly. So that's going to be hitting the shelves on the, oh my god, my notes, the 24th, actually. So 2 more days. Interestingly enough, today, if you didn't order a Series X, you've kind of missed the boat on that, and you, like everyone else, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit.
Yep.
But Halo 3 ODST is now available on Windows and
Nice.
Android.
Nice. I did have a question about the Serious Sam game. You said it's coming out on Windows and Stadia first.
Yes.
With that sort of exclusivity, is it the Epic Shop on Windows?
So it looks like it is going to be available on. I did not look that up. But let's.
It's the kind of thing that would seem like an Epic Game Store move, but it could very well be on all digital platforms. Like, I'm remembering back in the day when if it came out on Windows, that means you could go down to Walmart and grab it in the box and just install it on Windows.
Oh, weren't those the days when computer games were, when retailers could sell computer games in physical and not
they would be
have
in
to...
boxes, and early 2000s they would be in the box this size. 90s you'd have the big box like that. Pretty soon on my YouTube channel, I'm going to start playing the game Stone Keep, which came in a box that looked like a tombstone. There was a flat cardboard bit and then a big box size popping out of it.
So this game is actually going to be coming out on Steam.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not on the Epic Game Store, which is interesting.
Okay, but cool. And good for Stadia for getting timed exclusivity as far as the consoles are concerned.
So an interesting development. Good luck to you, Serious Sam. I look forward to playing you in 2021. We better make sure we check on Dan, because on the 24th, a game that he is indefinitely going to purchase is, in fact, coming to his Xbox One. Nope, it's coming to the Nintendo... I misspoke. It's coming to Windows and Nintendo Switch, so we better make sure when Dan gets a Switch. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Definitive Edition. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I love it. I was just thinking about Roller Coaster Tycoon this past week, too.
If you have not played the Tycoon games, Prison Tycoon, Zoo Tycoon, all these things, they're Sims games, but instead of micromanaging an individual's life, you have an entire park's worth of lives.
It's an interesting angle to approach it from, because I never played Sims, and I remember first Roller Coaster Tycoon. My eyes are still on Parkitect, which I saw your lovely wife playing. Congratulations. By the way, I didn't know if I was going to bring it up, but it happened, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Dave. You are now Dave Man is now a married man. But I saw Claire playing Parkitect, which looked like a nice modern reimagining of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, because the Tycoon games hadn't previously been
they
hadn't as well.
They hadn't come out on modern Windows. Yeah. You can play them via backwards compatibility, but that always takes some finagling. So, yes, there is a Prison Tycoon. I don't know if it's exactly called that or yeah, it's Prison Tycoon. I've seen a couple people playing. I saw Call Me Kevin playing it, but that doesn't count because he always goes for max chaos. More like Rigor Mortis points out the shirt coordination. Sort of.
We went for an aesthetic, and it was successful. Critical Role.
So yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 out on Windows and Switch.
Yes.
Cool.
So then, the only other game that's coming out, well, the big game that I did want to mention was, I've enjoyed the fact that, yonder time and ago when a game would come out in Japan for the Genesis, for the Super Nintendo, for the NES, for any system, and we just wouldn't get it.
Yeah. We'd be effed.
Thanks to modern day distribution and the fact that Atlas really likes a lot of people's money, are releasing, after it being out for an entire year in Japan, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. The game is an Atlas story, so there's time travel, there's kaiju, so I'm in. And there's some elements of the other Atlas famous games, a la your Personas and things like that, real-time strategy battles and things like that, of high school students fictionalized in the 1980s who were dragged into the future. So it'll be an interesting game. Am I going to go out of my way to get it? No. If it falls in my lap, I'm going to snap it up. The 25th, Mafia Definitive Edition Remake for Xbox One and PS4. I'll be careful on that one.
Yeah.
The demo copy that they put out, the pre-order copy that they put out, was awful.
Yeah.
Game-breaking bugs. They clearly didn't put a lot of effort into the forwarding of it. So if you're a fan of the Mafia franchise, maybe stick to Mafia 3 and the other ones. Give this one just a month on the shelf.
Maybe
to let it stew.
Maybe rent it and see if they fix the bugs or read reviews, because that happens sometimes in that demos come out really buggy, but then it's polished by the time it comes to release. But definitely don't buy it blind on day one. Read reviews and see if they specifically mention the issues of bugs and if they've been fixed, or rent it. Where can you rent video games now? Rest in peace,
You can do
Redbox.
that Steam thing where you buy it and then you play it for less than 30 hours, and then you can go, I didn't like it, and return it.
30? I knew that was a thing, which I always kind of feel icky doing, but yeah. And you know what? If it ends up being on any of the subscription services, Game Pass, EA, whatever, then you can just get it.
And then the only other release that's worth of note or isn't a very, very, very obscure, on the 25th, the Panzer Dragoon remake is coming to Windows. And
nice.
I'm pretty excited for it. I will not personally be able to have a machine that's going to be able to play it.
Okay.
But if you're a fan of drakes, dragons, wizards, and their interactions heretofore, And also that Superman 64 interaction where you fly in between certain things to power up your Dragoon. It's worth it, though, this time.
Nice.
So that is all the games that are fit to release in the next 7 days.
In the next week. Cool.
So, Boater, I know people have been on the internet, people have been talking, and some people have probably been very naughty. Do you have any updates for us?
So, in this past week, this actually happened the day before our last stream, but Twitch user mtashed, who is a popular Destiny streamer, was banned. And it ended up being just a 7-day ban. But the reason for his ban, well, first off, Twitch never says this is why you were banned. It's just for violating our terms of service, for violating our codes of conduct, and so forth. The suspicion is that it was probably because he featured the banned streamer Wish You Luck. So if you are banned from Twitch, you're not supposed to appear on Twitch. Not just on your own channel, but on other people's channels. It's like if I was super awful on the Citadel, bad example. If I went home after the Citadel tonight and on my own channel, I was super awful and I got banned from Twitch. I can't then appear on the Weekend Wednesday with you tomorrow to play more Among Us or whatever you're going to do, because it's kind of getting around.
That's what we're doing.
Awesome, I'm there, because that was super fun last week. Because then it's still me being on the platform. So, you know, people like, oh, well, this kind of sucks. He's back now, but it's kind of like Twitch is like, don't do that. Which I want to use that to segue into... I was looking up, hey, you know, who's been banned. There is actually a Twitter bot that says such and such user has been banned, such and such user has been reinstated, but it doesn't really give context. So I'm like, let me look around, see what I can find. And for some reason, in the past week, there was a lot of discussion about Dr. Disrespect. So as we know, Dr. Disrespect was banned from Twitch last June. And again, Twitch didn't specify why, just said in violation of codes of conduct, terms of service, that kind of thing. But never came out and said, this is specifically what you did that was against it. Twitch never does that. For better or for worse, they don't keep that transparency. It does feel, I admit, sometimes it feels capricious. But in Dr. Disrespect's instance, we know that he was flaunting the codes of conduct for a long time. He was just getting away with it.
Exactly.
And then Mixer went down, and Twitch is like, well, you don't have a dedicated streaming platform to go to now. You just have YouTube and Facebook, so bye. Came back to YouTube after about a month, did quite well, but he was talking about the anxiety that he had after his stream, and hearing from a few other streamers that are not happy that they can't stream with Dr. Disrespect. Tim the Tapman says, I miss playing with Doc quite a bit. And Hector Hex Rodriguez, who is a big Call of Duty streamer, said that Twitch should take a chill pill. Quote, how can they stop massive personalities on the platform from streaming with a friend of theirs, especially when there hasn't been a direct public reason as to why the man was banned? And I get that, oh, well, we don't have a specific reason as to why, but it's still, the guy put Twitch in a really bad spot. He
multiple times.
Multiple times. And these streamers are like, oh, well, we can't play games with him anymore. You can, you just can't be streaming on your own channel while you're doing it. You can join him on YouTube and do it. You can play your games off stream, which is another discussion. People that like stream for a living that are always on, that separation of what do you do for stream and what do you do privately. You can play your games not on stream, but that is time that you're not gaming for profit. And I do understand that, but at the same time, like, if you enjoyed playing with him so much, you would do it whether or not you can make money doing it.
Also, don't know if any of those big name Twitch streamers realize it yet, but there are literally millions of other people streaming who aren't banned on Twitch.
Yeah.
And are just as good. Maybe they need a little help, but will then be immensely grateful to a Tim the Tapman, a Hex, to have been brought into a certain zeitgeist. And you can find ones that are all the size enough where getting that, even getting ancillary spotlight put on them isn't going to crush them.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad that that's the thing that they're most upset about.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't play with him. fuck them. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, again, if I got banned, then you wouldn't be able to play with me on stream. But, I mean, we could still play off stream.
exactly.
And, you know, if you thought that whatever I was doing wasn't that big a deal, which is another thing and a reflection on these other streamers, I believe that what Dr. Disrespect was doing was a big deal, and I believe it reflects negatively on these other streamers for being like, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, but privilege, Boner, privilege. They get
Privilege. Yeah, right? Get out of the way, make room for the rest of us that want.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is, MTashed was banned and has been reinstated because that was just a 7-day ban because he doesn't have a history of flagrant disrespect for such things.
And just, like, again, Twitch should let the person know, even if it's just, hey, by the way, we're letting you know, now you violated the terms of service, we are taking action now. And
because
in the closest case, we will let you know this is why we violated you, or this is what got flagged in this. Because it's not like there's one person sitting in a room going, that person's banned and that person's banned. It's not an NFL whistle gets blown, a ban happens. There's a process, gears have to turn.
Yeah, and it's not always flawless.
No, absolutely.
Andy Klaus Prime says, easy answer, their platform, their rules. But even like YouTube, even if they make a mistake with it, they say, this video was the problem. This is the time code that was the problem. There was a YouTuber that got a copyright strike for featuring something in a Try Not to Laugh challenge that was a specific video.
Yeah.
And then Markiplier replied on Twitter, hey, my video that's been up for 3 years also features that. Where's my copyright strike? And YouTube was just like, all right, here's your copyright strike. Cue huge outrage over it, and then it gets reversed. But they knew exactly what to protest. They knew exactly what the issue was and were able to address it on that specific issue rather than just, well, I guess your channel as a whole.
So just cancel Twitch! Like,
YouTube doesn't know their own rules. But here's, and again, like, yes, their rules are applied capriciously, but they will specifically say what the instance was of it. And in some cases, that can help you fight it. With Twitch, they never say, you did this one thing on this stream.
yeah.
You know, they just say, oh, you did a bad, you're banned for 7 days. And without being told what it was, you could do a bad again, and now you're banned forever. I do think Twitch should be more transparent with that. But you know, going back to what's under discussion, Dr. Disrespect's a dick, and I have no sympathy.
Well, it also goes under the idea of thank you to the folks, such as Boder on my channel, Anti-Claus Prime, that moderate, that are more aware, watching the streams and doing these things of, hey, by the way, during your stream you did blank or you showed blank, that might get us in some trouble. Or all of the people in chat were getting pretty upset about this, or something you said or something you didn't do.
Yeah.
So thank you to the moderators that spend the time to help the streamers get that perspective, because when you're in the moment, if you're clicking, first of all, don't ever click links chat, but it's in there, especially if they're from Steve. But that's a Friday debacle that'll happen, which is why Steve is never allowed to share links again.
There's a story, and I'll ask you off stream.
Twitch needs to be transparent. YouTube needs to know their own rules. Agreed. And I have a feeling that when a larger corporation, you know, inevitably steps in to be more under control of Twitch.
They're owned by Amazon. What larger corporation is there?
Disney. Disney's eventually going to want to get package delivery as well, and they're just going to buy all of Amazon.
Dave, you just made me throw up inside.
Good, because that's what's coming in 2025, by the way.
You think we're gonna last to 2025? That's amusing. All right, Dave, what's next?
So, you and I both got paged by our legal eagle, letting us know that someone in a courtroom somewhere wearing an Epic or an Apple badge said something in regards to the other person. And I know, Boder, you had looked more into those details.
Yes.
All the things like that. What's Apple a John about in the courts now?
Apple says that basically basically that everything around this, from Fortnite trying to leave, trying to do its own currency, forcing it to be left, forcing the lawsuit, whatever, is all a publicity stunt. They say, quote, "This lawsuit appears to be part of a marketing campaign designed to reinvigorate interest in Fortnite." They said that over a certain amount of time that the interest in Fortnite had decreased. Epic came back and said, "Oh yeah, aside from those cherry-picked numbers, that's not the case at all, but I wouldn't expect Epic to say anything different." Whatever. Apple says, yeah, the interest has decreased, so they're doing this to raise interest. And they say that the campaign is proof that Apple doesn't have a monopoly. This very marketing campaign that Epic is doing, saying Apple has a monopoly and we have to sue them because of it, is proof that Apple doesn't have a monopoly. Epic staged the in-game free Fortnite Cup, where players could win non-iPhone devices to play on. Apple said, Epic's own conduct establishes that the iPhone is reasonably interchangeable with other devices, pointing out that Epic pointed users to other platforms and digital stores. You can get it on Xbox. You can get it on the Epic Store in Windows. You can go get it on Google Play. You can get it on Samsung's thing. Apple said that Epic has disclosed that only 10% of Fortnite consumers play regularly on the iPhone, and that Epic has repeatedly told us that Apple is the smallest piece of the pie when it comes to revenue. How can Apple possibly be a monopoly when they do so little? How can their monopoly be affecting Fortnite so much when they have so many other venues to go to and that they have other devices that could be played on? The advertising and legal dollars have merged. I do want to say, their quote, that Epic's own conduct establishes that the iPhone is reasonably interchangeable with other devices, seems like it could come back to bite them at some point in the future. It's the correct move to make now, but I could see that, like, if that particular quote takes off, I could see that being something that a couple years down the line, Apple thinks that their phone is reasonably interchangeable with our devices. We beg to differ. Like marketing bullshit like that. That's what I've got from Apple on that. Epic did respond to some of that. They say, Fortnite's never been more popular. Dave, when was the last time we talked about Fortnite before the legal stuff went down? Now, to be fair, we're a little biased against Fortnite. That also means that we would pick whatever chance we can to make fun of it.
When Fortnite came out of... when Fortnite became an official game like a month or two ago. Okay. And stopped trying to hide behind its...
early access.
It's early access. But other than that...
not a lot. Like, they do a lot of... They were doing a lot of marketing stunts, like, oh, we're going to cross over with Marvel, we're going to cross over with this, we're going to do this other, like, in-game event that we're going to limit how many people can be in the servers. They do a lot of marketing stunts, and it makes total sense if this is, in effect, just that.
Yes. So I will say that their event for where they had Travis Scott do an entire concert, and they filmed this whole thing, very fun. I even logged in here on the store to watch it because I was like, you know what? I don't really know Travis Scott's music all that well, but this is just interesting enough. Yeah. And just during enough of the pandemic where I was like, I have time.
Yeah, they absolutely have done a great job coming up with neat marketing ideas. And it's a little cynical but not implausible that this is just the latest.
It definitely, Apple's not wrong when they say what this is. Yeah. It's a PR stunt. They got legally told that they were in the wrong. But they also, there's no way.
The fact that they were ready with all the material and free Fortnite and all the stuff like that. Yeah, like marketing knew what they were doing with it. And now, did it originate with marketing or did it originate with, the money grubbers who then told marketing, you might want to do something with this? I guess that's a question, but, also how much is there a difference in that?
I am very excited. The one thing I will say, in Fortnite's The Games case, interestingly enough, this Friday, if you're a fan of BTS, I've never listened to one of their songs. However, I am a fan of K-pop and J-pop.
BTS released a song at the end of August that is all in English, and I'm like, finally cashing in on the U.S. airplay dollars. I heard it on the radio in the car while I was at work.
Oh, yes. This Friday, by the way, speaking of cashing in on those American airplay dollars, Dynamite is that song.
Oh, yes, yes.
And they are going to be having their own in Fortnite concert Friday, September 25th at 8 p.m.
Cool.
And then it's going to be rebroadcast the next day at the same time. And then a hip-hop artist, Slushy, is going to be taking the stage other times, but no one gives a shit about him, so there he goes.
Wow. Okay, Dave, go ahead and say it.
Oh, yes. All I'll say is, get away from my BTS there, pal. They're the closest thing I'm getting to 98 degrees, and I'm still bitter about it. So, Fortnite still going strong, still having a license with Marvel, by the way.
Yep.
To get those pairings and things like that. So Epic versus Apple still simmering, stewing, the bitterest of beefs.
Yeah, still plenty of shots fired across the bow as it works its way through courts.
That will potentially ne'er end until one of them is dead, and let's be honest, neither of them will ever die.
Oh yeah.
But we have been saying this for months now. Microsoft already got all this clerical work out of the way. Sony said, well, I mean, they said months ago, we're going to hold off on our announcements to let other voices take the stage.
A couple weeks ago, Microsoft did the Xbox announce. They announced the Series X and the Series S for $500 and $300 respectively. We've already talked about the difference between them. Sony wanted the competition to go first. But now, last Wednesday, the day after our last broadcast, they had their own press conference.
They
Dave,
did? Surprise, surprise! There is going to be a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 5 without a disc tray.
Which we knew.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, yes. Again, that's why it's surprise, surprise.
Yep.
Also, deathly shocking, the PS5 with the disc tray will run you $499.
$500. Same price as the Xbox Series X for very comparable stats.
The digital edition will cost, surprise, surprise, $400.
Aside from not having a disc, the digital edition is same stats across the board.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying Microsoft should do. So I guess we'll compare uptake. I'd be interested to see how much of the PS5 uptake is digital versus disc compared to Microsoft's S versus X. Because I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a more even share of the PS5 being at the same stats.
So they did announce officially that only 25% of the pre-orders were for the disk drive-less version of the system. I want to pre-order a PS5, but I'm not going to do one without a disk drive, so I don't even know if those are still available because I'm not going to bother to clicking on it because I don't want them to think that I want one of those. Even an iota.
And we'll talk about the pre-orders shortly.
So they did also, because that's not very much an announcement when you just say the thing that everyone already knew through leaks, them confirming leaks, or just common sense.
And good marketing sense, yep.
So they did then go into trailers of games that will either be available on release or will be PS5 exclusives going forward. So the trailer, I know that caught Boder's attention, and he talked about this on the weekend Wednesday on Insane Games TV, was the Final Fantasy 16 trailer.
Yep.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It goes back to like a fantasy time period as opposed to most of the last 10 games have had at least some sort of modern element, if not very modern, such as 15 was, automobiles and stuff like that.
Top ramen.
And a lot of the games have had like steampunk elements, whatever. This is just going back to a more straight fantasy, and it's gorgeous, and I'm interested. I'm
looking greatly forward to it. One of the ones that was announced that was kind of a no-brainer, but also didn't have any gameplay. A blue swoop flew across the screen, and Nordic runes appeared on it. And then the words God of War 5 Ragnarok appeared across the front of it.
Nice.
I was very excited. I will still have to sometime eventually try to finish the PS4 God of War, because hasn't happened, probably won't.
It's good. You should. I really enjoyed it. Although if you want to get a taste of the Norse gods. I will be playing 2 human on the Citadel tonight, but, not quite the same.
Hell yeah. Insomniac revealed the next Spider-Man game, which was already announced, but the Miles Morales story. And it's going to be on both PS4 and PS5 in 2020.
Nice.
However, your data will not
this
be...
year in 2020?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Your data, if you buy the PS4 copy and then you get a PS5 copy, the data will not be compatible across the 2 games.
Oh, okay.
Interesting little caveat, but I'm glad they announced that and got that out of the way.
I wonder why that is.
I bet it more has to do with they didn't want to pay for someone to do that 16 lines of code.
Yeah, because I know, if I've been able to import Xbox 360 save games as long as the game is backwards compatible on Xbox One. Just absolutely having no problem doing that, just because of the way that they do cloud saving with Xbox, as long as you have Xbox Live. So I'm a little surprised that PlayStation isn't doing that. I don't know if they normally do that and Spider-Man's an exception, or if they normally don't do it, but because of everything, they felt that they had to just remind you.
They really, honestly, in the past, there really hasn't been a lot of, this game's coming out on the 2 and the 3, and the 3 and the 4.
It's always in the first year or 2 that they'll do this.
Yes.
I still remember when I was working at Game Nuts back in the day, we had Need for Speed Carbon at Game Nuts, and we popped it into a PS2 and a PS3 side by side, and night and day. It was so amazing, the difference between them. But yeah, there's really only ever a year and a half of that kind of crossover.
They did announce as well. So Miles Morales, if you liked the Spider-Man game on PS4, and if you liked the way the PS2 Spider-Man movie tie-in games, physics-wise, played,
I never finished Spider-Man.
they are immensely fun, and I highly recommend them. Resident Evil is getting another game in the franchise. This time, just simplified to Resident Evil Village.
Okay.
Just a trailer.
When was the last one?
It was
the last new one, not remake.
Early console life of PS4.
Yeah, and I find it interesting too that God of War 1, 2, and 3 were all PS2 games.
Yep.
And then you had the HD re-release on PS3. God of 4 was PS4, but only one. And it's interesting that the pace of these games coming out slows down, partially because of the effort that goes into it, but also so that I don't know if it's intentional, but I like not getting oversaturated with it. I don't need an Assassin's Creed game every year, and we don't get that anymore. We get it every few years.
I also think because, especially in the case of they don't have Kratos fighting just Greek mythos, because in that case you can start with, okay, he's going to fight these gods, and then we move over here, and then we move over here. Now that it's the already established Greek character Kratos going against, in the original God of War, these Norse or Western mythos.
Yeah, going up against the Nordic, well, not always against, but, with finding himself embroiled in Norse mythology.
And now this is definitely going to be a deep dive into when you throw Ragnarok on it, you are tying into indisputable canon and characters and gods and involvement.
It's continuing what will hopefully be a full trilogy of Kratos in Norse mythology.
Vladdy says, wait, no Knack 3? No, that will not be the game that everybody flocks to buy their system for, and for no other reason. We will be talking about this in a minute, but they did confirm that Deathloop, Arcane Studios' creation for the PS5, is still happening, even though we're talking about this at the bottom of the stream. ZeniMax was acquired
by a competitor. Stay tuned to find out who.
They will.
So that will still be a PlayStation exclusive. Cool.
Yes, and it will still be coming out in its timetable originally.
Cool.
Produced.
Not going to do delayed or anything.
They announced Demon's Souls remake, and they showed gameplay of it. It was beautiful. I danced. I cried. I laughed. I was so excited.
I saw some of that.
Me and Anti-Klaus Prime are indefinitely squeeing at the top of our lungs, as is Mike Chili at home. But the one game that, upon looking at, Voter, that aged pretty much like old cottage cheese that's been in the sun for 17 years.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You worked on your metaphor. Good.
The game name Harry Potter, Hogwarts, word on it, Legacy.
Okay.
Yikes!
So legacy. First off, legacy is one of those words that you can throw onto any franchise name to get another. It's Underground 15 years ago.
Yep.
Like so many games had that. So the thing with Hogwarts Legacy, the thing with another Harry Potter game is at this point, a lot of people are very leery about doing anything that will put money into J.K. Rowling's pockets. And the developers came out and stated that J.K. Rowling had no part in putting the game together.
Hooray!
So, there was a book that just came out under her Robert Galbraith alias, that's her adult mystery novel term, had some stuff in it that is very, oof. It's, turf-y and racist and Islamophobic and stuff like that. But this is okay, J.K. Rowling is not involved in the production of this game, in the writing of this game, which on the surface level, good. I don't have to put up with that, but it's still a licensed Harry Potter game. She still gets money for every copy sold. So there was some Twitter threads going around about, how can you play this game but not give her money? Again, if it comes out on a Game Pass kind of thing, buy it used is always the best way to make sure that it hurts the developers too, admittedly. But it's this awful thing where it's I want to help developers, but I do not want to put money into J.K. Rowling's pockets. Get it when it shows. It'll eventually show up in a Humble Bundle, and that is something where you can, minimize the amount that goes to, the developer and max out the amount going to charity. Demon Dragon points out that you can talk like a pirate day which was a few days ago, in case you're feeling festive.
Exactly.
She's still gonna get royalties, as Andy Klaus says right there, and it's what are ways to minimize that. So, public opinion. Maybe not the majority of public opinion, but a sizable amount have turned against J.K. Rowling. And just you put out a new Harry Potter game, even if she had nothing to do with it, she still gets money.
It's still got the Harry Potter on it, just as anything with Star Wars, George Lucas somewhere gets handed a check. So.
That might be a bad example.
Why?
Does he still get royalties from Star Wars?
I mean, from certain things, yes.
Okay, fair. Because I didn't know to what extent he was just bought out.
'Tis true, but I have a feeling
he might not have been. Fox was, but he may still get his royalties. Okay, cool.
So, the only other thing that was that I enjoyed was PlayStation 5 will have a PlayStation Plus equivalent. But what they're going to do is the PS5 is going to have the PlayStation Plus collection. It is a greatest hits of all of the games that were free on the PS4 for PlayStation Plus, which are only monthly available. And if you forget to download them, you don't get them for free after that month expires.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, Uncharted 4, the God of War PS4 version, Last of Us Remastered, are going to be available for that service upon release of the PS5 for you to download and play that day.
Okay. Nice.
Very exciting.
That's a good way of bolstering the launch titles, because the amount of launch... I don't know the number of launch titles for PlayStation. Not how many games did they announce, because not all of those are going to be launched.
Absolutely.
Number of launch titles is typically around a dozen for a console.
Yep.
It's not a lot.
No.
The Xbox One came out with a little more than that, but... the Xbox One didn't. Xbox 360 had more. Xbox One might have had 9. Kotaku had a breakdown of it. I don't fully remember.
The Xbox One had the issue of people were still wanting to get in on the 360, especially because the One had that whole, we're not putting a disc drive in it. Why is everyone leaving? And then content providers were
and then how does the DRM work? To which PlayStation was here is how you share a PlayStation game.
Yep.
So good burns back and forth. Microsoft had, I won't say a good. We'll get to it when we talk pre-orders.
So they then ended the press conference with, oh, and by the way, Pre-orders start on the 17th, which was
The next day, right?
at midnight. That day, all the retailers were not going to wait until like 8 a.m. It meant that the press conference ended, and less than 12 hours later, people were available. They were there to pre-order, and almost had one. Could have had one.
Sony didn't do a good job of managing the retail outlets for that.
Not even a little.
And like, so it's pretty much retailers were like, why wait? Here, pre-order it now. And then other retailers were like, shit, pre-order it now. And so people would be like, all right, Best Buy, crap, Best Buy's out. Target just announced, Target's out. Walmart, please, Walmart. It was really not good. And as someone that had a capital T time trying to order one of the 500 million edition PS4s, I sympathize. Like, that's rough because retailers are only getting an allotment of so many.
Yep.
And then it's, oh no, but now they can add more to their allotment. Now they can add more to their allotment. They don't know that there is going to be X amount available. Best Buy, you get this number, period. It's just, yeah, we might get about this much. All right, we've been approved for more. It's such a pain.
You don't stand there and fire a starting pistol in a capitalistic society. You can't do it. It's not. It doesn't work.
And then, of course, there was the scalpers. There was the bots that would immediately snap them up and then try to resell them for double, like list them on Amazon or eBay for double the amount without the console in hand. Just like, all right, cool, I have a receipt that I'm going to get one. I'll be able to resell it for twice the amount.
They just take the press pictures from Best Buy and put them on one picture on their listing on Amazon, eBay, whatever. Within minutes, they were available for purchase on Amazon and eBay from third-party folks for triple. So, $1,500 if you have that burning a hole in your pocket.
More Like Rigor Mortis asked if it was available from Amazon, presumably first party, and I'm sure it was, but again, sold out very fast.
Yes. Just as everywhere else, they did have them. Sony then released on the 19th, quote, "Let's be honest, PS5 pre-orders could have gone a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that, period."
Yeah.
We, over the next few days, will release more PS5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details. And more PS5s will be available through the end of the year.
Yep.
I mean, not good enough. As somebody that wants PS5 and now definitely will.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a launch, you need to make sure it's done right, and you're not gonna be able to help. Sony's gonna have a hard time preventing against scammers, whatever, because it's in the retailers' pockets.
Yep.
When Best Buy doesn't set a limit of 1 per customer, when Best Buy doesn't do a good job of making sure that they're vetting email addresses or whatever they do. It's tossed off on them.
Are you a robot test before you sign it, before you check out?
Yeah. So Microsoft, of course, had to get in on the stabs back and forth because both of them do. Again, I mentioned this is how you share a game.
Because they're the only, they stand shoulder to shoulder against each other.
Yep.
And to be honest, if they were smart, they would continue to do that to each other because the only other competition they have is Nintendo, who goes, that's funny, I don't care.
Yeah, Nintendo plays their own game.
They can look up and go, well, the PC doesn't have... Damn it.
So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Xbox announced that their pre-order date is going to be September 22nd. Sorry, they announced. So that is today, the 22nd. Dave, you have some info on how that went. But they then said worldwide launch, November 10th is their release date, which I think they'd announced before.
Yes.
And then they eventually announced an exact time for when pre-orders would start, and presumably did a decent job of holding retailers to that, rather than Sony saying, tomorrow! And all the retailers are like, that's just 1 day away, why wait? Announcing it enough ahead of time that it's like, this is the date, and kind of setting it as a street date for pre-orders.
They announced it, so they tweeted out on...
I have a tweet from the 16th.
Yep.
Pre-order September 22nd. Worldwide launch November 10th. Hype over 9,000.
What I enjoyed was that they also put in a very helpful United States, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Microsoft Store, Amazon,
Yep.
Best Buy, GameStop,
Yep.
Walmart, Target, Sam's Club, Newegg, and other participating retailers. Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. And they gave out, if you live in this country or this area, here is where you will get it. This is the time it will be available.
Yep.
Interesting that they...
And I can...
cool! They even had for smaller sized businesses, such as in the UK, Game and Smith's Toys, Giganti in Finland, El Gigantin in Sweden, game stores that I've had things pass over the counter for, but things like that. So that was... See, Microsoft, I'm a little bit surprised they deleted that tweet poking fun at Sony.
Yeah, I forget I didn't see the one that you talked about. I just saw this one that, was definitely in response to it, but was a little more at me next time. I don't know what one they had that poked fun at it. Or I just kind of forget what it was. But yeah, they poke fun at each other all the time, and I'm totally fine with it, as long as it stays in good taste, which I believe it was. No hitting below the belt, and let's go.
They're Fortune 500 companies. They can punch below the belt all they want. Fuck them.
Wow. So those pre-orders opened up today, and we'll see if they also release numbers as far as like what the uptake percentage is of Series S versus Series X. And we'll see. So far today, I haven't heard anything that it's been nearly as much of a debacle. But again, I'm sure that there's still plenty of people that are trying to buy up stock with bots to resell it at, a hefty markup.
So a bunch of places made up stories right around the time we were starting to go live that, unfortunately, a lot of the bots got confused. Because when you input the Xbox, Xbox X, there's the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
Apparently, Amazon did in fact get snapped up. They had a 747% increase on Amazon of sales, going from the on the list of popular items sold, 2,804, jumping all the way up to 331 today for the Xbox One X 1 terabyte console, which is the last One X series that they're making. Yeah.
So a lot of people got the wrong system. Anticlaus points out that the website still crashed at that, T-0 poof. And as someone who's tried to participate in many a Woot-Off, I can totally see that. And so some people didn't end up getting them, but a lot more people did. It wasn't as widespread a problem, I believe.
Well, like Ramonis, I wish it was intentional.
That would be
instead of just
so
sloppy
amazing.
Coding on the part of.
Well, I wish it was intentional rather than just god awful naming of the console.
So, I know that we've got a couple more stories, but if you don't mind, we'll hop to the tail end thing.
Okay. Yep. I have a couple here. We'll push them back. That's fine.
$7.5 billion were exchanged hands today. And it was not, surprisingly, a politician getting that money pocketed. No! Microsoft Studios potentially looked at Sony's release windows, and then looked back at their press conference, and then looked at theirs and went, you know what we can do? We'll buy ZeniMax Media.
I think this is something that had been in the works for a while.
It announced fair. It was. It is hyperbole, and it is fun to do this on the podcast
absolutely.
For that moment.
I appreciate the gag, but for the face of factfulness. But anyway, ZeniMax Media does a lot. The one that's been making headlines is that they are one of their subsidiary development studios is Bethesda, Elder Scrolls, Fallout.
Yes.
But they also do, Arcane that you mentioned before.
So they have id Software that makes
Wolfenstein,
Doom, Quake, and Rage.
Yep.
Arcane that does Dishonored and Prey. Machine Games, Wolfenstein. Tango Gameworks, who made The Evil Within. And then there was a bunch of, ironically enough, PS5 exclusives that were going to be made by ZeniMax subsidiaries.
Yep.
And the exact quote from the head of Microsoft, when they immediately asked for those, he said, those contracts are as they are.
Yep.
So we're not just going to buy those games out. That doesn't make any sense.
And here's the thing, Microsoft has done this before. They've bought things that make people wonder, oh my gosh, is it going to be exclusive now? A big one is Mojang, Minecraft. Dave, is Minecraft an Xbox exclusive?
I can get it on the 3DS, the Switch, the Wii U, the PS4, the PS3, the 360, the Xbox One, the PC, and all mobile phone. No.
You can probably play it on a pregnancy test.
You probably could play it on Linux, but...
Yeah, no. So, like, Microsoft does own a fair amount of stuff that is cross-platform. And so as much as they have their own hardware that they develop games for or that they want to have exclusives for, Microsoft Game Studios has... Well, okay, bad example. But, like, Microsoft as owning stuff, ZeniMax isn't going to slot in under Microsoft Game Studios. It's going to be another thing that Microsoft owns. I'm so happy I don't care about most Bethesda published games, but I still have a good PC.
The thing that I am excited about was that they specifically said they will look at future title releases on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Which is smart, because you know what? As mad as I will be is if there's a Dishonored, another Dishonored comes out and it's an Xbox One exclusive, I'll be okay with that.
I will also say...
They're not stupid, and they're not going to make the Elder Scrolls a console exclusive.
It's not even going to be a timed exclusive. Rise of the Tomb Raider was a timed exclusive. I think half a year it was on PC and Xbox One, then it came to PS4.
Yes.
And that was something that they bought up in the middle of development of that game. So I do think that we're going to see a bigger stable of timed exclusives, but I don't think they're going to make too many exclusives out of this. That said, they now have more developers under their umbrella that will be starting new games that they can get exclusives out of. But they're also smart, and if the next generation turns out what this generation is, which is that PS4 does have a higher market share than Xbox One, I believe, Dave, I have no numbers to back this up, but it feels truthy to me. If PlayStation has a bigger install base than Xbox does, they'd be kind of stupid not to release software for the bigger install base.
Yes.
If it's like the generation before, where the Xbox 360 massively out-installed the PS3, then maybe they'll keep some more exclusives
They
for
didn't
themselves.
out-sell. They killed the PS3. They fucking murdered it. That was the best.
Dave, give me a baseless, pie-in-the-sky, which of the two do you think is going to win this next generation? Now, I don't mean that as far as, like, putting the other out of business. I mean, which one do you think is going to have a larger install base? Because, again, this last one, I'm pretty sure, was PS4 over the Xbox One.
It was, but I do think with the acquisition of ZeniMax Studios, I really was just going to outwardly say PS5, just because they did seem to learn from the PS3 mistakes with the PS4, and they weren't continuing those mistakes for the future for the PS5. With the acquisition of ZeniMax, I have a feeling Microsoft will be able to, not to say pull the nose up as in they're under any sort of financial distress, but I think that their market share will be... I think the Xbox will market share trend a little bit higher than the PS5 because of the ZeniMax acquisition.
Yeah. Andy Klaus gets a good burn in that, well, if PS5 owners have to wait a year for Bethesda games, that just means they get the version without the release day bugs.
See, that's
an interesting point.
It's truth, though.
But also, new bugs come in when you port a game to a different console. So they'll have their own bugs to worry about. My thoughts are that Microsoft will be able to at least achieve parity with PlayStation. I don't know if they're going to outsell, but I don't think that they're going to be oversold by Sony in this generation.
In this generation, especially now that they're not... The Xbox One's problem was, hey, we have the Kinect. Oh God, people don't like the Kinect. We don't have the Kinect anymore.
Yeah, they tried to push a specific way to do things. Now, I think I like what both of them are doing in that they have here's what everyone expects out of it. Has the disk drive, can play disk and everything like that. But here's our vision of the future.
Yes.
And And again, I guess in the first year, it's going to depend on that uptake of the smaller discless console.
Yep.
Will Microsoft's approach of a underpowered, slightly underpowered, slightly lower res version resonate for the amount lower price tag that it is? We're getting some frame drops here. Hopefully you guys can at least still hear us over what's going on with the frame rate. Yeah, I guess it kind of depends how heavily people buy into those and whether we see either of those versions really continuing past the first year.
Yes.
Whether we see the digital version of the PS4 or if they get rid of it, PS5. Or whether they get rid of the digital version when they drop the disc version to that price point, and how much the Series S sells.
I am very excited to see that. The other thing that I'm very interested in is, for those of you that didn't know, ZeniMax was the parent corporation of all these games and things like that. Last time we heard about, for example, the next Elder Scrolls game that wasn't just going to be a Skyrim port, Bethesda seemed like they were really going through it in regards to, all right, so you're going to make another AAA game, but you're going to keep it for this budget, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that, but you're not going to have crunch, so you're not going to keep your employees. And so they were like, yep, the game's not coming out for the next 40 years. Like, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This acquisition of Microsoft, to be totally honest, a friend messaged me the second it got released. What do you think of this? Honestly, I am the most excited for the people that work in these subsidiary rooms and in these companies, because it means now that there is more capital up top, which means that in some cases there will be larger time allotments, more teams will be able to work on these things. Ports to consoles.
If you need more man hours to make something come out at a certain time, they can hire more people.
And then the other half is, you know what really helps? When you're trying to get something ready for the script for a console, when you're owned by that console company, because they, in some cases, will just take that from them and do that for
helps.
them.
It does help. Andy Claus Prime says, whatever answer I give as far as which one's going to come out on top, the Series X or the PS5, whatever answer I give will be the wrong one. And dude, I feel you. Every time that I invest into something, I end up doing the wrong one. I am still bitter that Windows Phone 8 and its pattern of doing things didn't take off more.
Auntie, I hope that Microsoft will give a bit more chill to the shitty practices that ZeniMax were into.
Yeah.
Nope. It's not. ZeniMax is not going to be fundamentally changing. They are just now owned.
It's not immediately, but much in the same way that Blizzard has been changed over time by the acquisition by Activision. Yep. ZeniMax will be changed over time by their corporate overlords. And looking at the patterns of what ZeniMax does versus what Microsoft does, as developers, I think, well, first, probably at least 2 of those studios are going to close within the next 3 years, because Microsoft does do that. But I do think that we're going to see better practices for the people working at those studios.
The other good thing is, for example, let's say id Software goes out of business, or Microsoft decides to close them and fold them into somewhere else. That means that Microsoft will own, or however this legal battle goes, Doom, Quake, and Rage are not just going to get scattered to the wind like the Beatles catalog was. They're going to be in some sort of limelight where they can get the treatments that they deserve, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, they would have still been owned by ZeniMax anyway, but with the outlet of Microsoft, maybe they'll... first off, the developers resulting from such a studio closure, if they... Number one, there's a lot of studios under the ZeniMax umbrella that they could potentially relocate to.
Yes.
Number 2, there are other studios outside of ZeniMax but still under Microsoft that they could move to. So Microsoft does have a habit of closing down studios, of which I am also bitter about. But there's so many options that it's not likely to hurt the developers too much, just the lineage that we might respect out of those studios.
Yeah. So,
hoping for that, at least. I'm hoping at a low bar because that's the best I could fucking do this year.
The one thing I am really, really looking forward to is next year during Microsoft's big thing. It means that only one of those two big company wank fests will definitely have Todd Howard at them, and it's not going to be PlayStation's unless Microsoft goes, by the way, we actually like money if they have a product to do that with. By the way, here's Todd Howard, and Sony will have to go, son of a...
Here's a show of good faith, dangling the keys.
You will let Todd Howard have 15 minutes.
You will let Todd Howard have 15 minutes, and you will not do a 5-minute gag. Otherwise, we're going to come after your podcast show. Death Stranding, I'm sorry, we have to wait till next week.
I am greatly looking forward to that. And we will definitely have to talk about how we had some other things on the table.
Yep.
Multiplayer games losing the multiplayer. New studio rising from the ashes of other studios, which will be very interesting. That, and we will keep our ears to the ground if Epic or Apple get into the courtrooms, any blustering, things like that. New game releases coming next week. But, Boater, what's going on the Citadel next?
Well, as I mentioned before, we will be playing 2 Human on the Citadel. Last time that I played this, I wasn't having a great night. There wasn't anyone in chat. We played. I ended up playing for just about an hour, screwing around in the game cyberspace, and then started a mission a little bit. We're going to pick up that mission and probably play it through to the end tonight on the Citadel. Again, playing 2 Human, the cyberpunk Norse mythology band game.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be here with you once again. Thank you very much to everyone for hanging out and chat with us. More news will abound on the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 front, inevitably, as we get closer to that November 10th and November 12th releases. Who knows? Maybe Insane Games TV will get us some of these consoles. You never know. Dan, get us some stuff.
Get us some stuff.
But make sure to get your follows in here. Hit that little heart button down over by Boater and down by the Insane Games TV logo. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we go live. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a 1-day-a-week thing. It's not just a 3-day-a-week thing. 7 days a week, 2 p.m. 5 days a week, 2 p.m. to midnight. And then on the weekends, depending on what content we are generating, you are guaranteed at least 4 hours every weekend.
There's stuff. So be sure to follow to see that stuff. You can follow down below. You can always subscribe. And remember to check out our merch as well. Plenty of cool stuff that Tom has designed. I love it. So in the meantime, everybody, if you're sticking around, I will see you on the Citadel in a few minutes. We will go offline for maybe about 120 seconds as we change a couple of stream details, and then the countdown begins. So if you're sticking around, I will see you on the other side of that on the Citadel. If not, we hope to see you the rest of the week and next week on Insane Games TV and right here at the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I've been Boater.
I've been Dave Mann.
See you guys.